Welcome to The Rest is Football with me, Gary Lineker, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards. And with the Premier League kicking off tonight, it's time for our pre-season predictions. We're going to go through them one by one in alphabetical order. We'll look at each club's transfer activity, how they've been getting on in pre-season, before ultimately grading them in one of the following categories. Champions, top four, Europe, mid-table, relegation fight, and relegated. Alan and Micah, are you ready?
No.
No.
This is when you make a fool of yourself because there's like, what is there, 2 and a bit weeks to go before the end of the transfer window, some big deals still to be had, ifs and buts and all of that. So, yeah, but let's do it.
Al's getting his excuses in early. So let's start with AFC Bournemouth. So it's still Andoni Iraola in charge. Last season they finished 12th. I think this surprised most people, higher than people thought. The first game of the season's away at Forest. They've brought in a few players. Who wants to kick off?
I think they'll do all right. I mean, they've obviously lost a huge player who had a brilliant season for them in Solanke. He was brilliant, wasn't he? Goals. And I think he'll, without doubt, he'll be a miss for them. But I think in terms of his philosophy and his football, then that certainly won't change. I think they'll do all right. I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they'll be okay.
They've brought a few players in as well. Sinisterra from Leeds for 20 million. Enes Unal from Getafe for 14 million. Micah?
Yeah, it's hard. I totally agree with what Alan said. I think I was the one who said Bournemouth would go down last season, but losing Solanke is massive. I know they've got Semenya. This Jebuson's not a bad player as well. He was at Sheffield United and he didn't play much. He got a few injuries, but he's a good young talent. Sinisterra I know from Leeds as well. In that attacking area, he's a good player. But
so what do we think?
I actually worry for them as good as the manager does without Solanke. So I'm going to say relegated.
Ooh, straight in with that.
I'm going big.
Straight in with that. I know what his game is. He's thinking Bournemouth, not so much big fan base. They're not going to come for him on social media.
I'm going to go relegation fight, but they'll be okay.
Ooh.
I think they'll be okay, Bournemouth. I've got them in, I don't know, 12th, 13th, 14th, something like that.
We need to keep a tab on what we're doing here, though, because
we always do.
Last year, we had 3 relegated clubs, but we had about 5 mid-table clubs. Like, do you know what I mean? So,
well,
right,
yeah,
we'll work it out. Yeah. Okay, we're off and running. We're going to Arsenal. Obviously, Arteta's still there. They were just missed out, didn't they, last season, for opening games home against Wolves. Just a couple of players brought in, quite a big one, Calafiori from Bologna for 42 million, and David Raya, but he was already there anyway.
How funny is it that all my analysis was on Bastoni for the whole of the Euros, and they go and sign the other centre-half, Calafiori?
What does that say about you?
But no, honestly, Calafiori is amazing. We all saw him. I don't know where he's going to play, though, because Gabriel's been outstanding. Saliba's been excellent, too. I know it's probably not just for cover. You're not taking out Ben White. And there's Timbers.
He might play on the left, though, left back, because Timbers got injured again. So he might switch him on. Maybe that's the thinking.
Done all right pre-season. I'm going to say, if Man City get any injuries...
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on. We haven't even got to Man City yet. Just what are Arsenal going to do?
They've had a good pre-season.
Oh, but this is ridiculous.
Here you go. This is my take on it. As you have a think about it first.
Come on now.
I'm going to say this is the one where if they sign a top-class striker in between now and the end of the window...
Oh, you're going if some as well, are you?
No, well, this is what you have to do. You have to, because they need. I think they still need a striker. And if they get that striker in, I think they'll win the league.
Hold on, you've just done exactly the same with what I've done.
You've just said about if Man City get a lot of injuries, then Arsenal will win. What the fuck's that got to do with it?
I actually think Arsenal do win it because I don't. City losing Alvarez, and unless Man City brings someone else in,
This is the Arsenal section, Micah.
Okay, I'm going to say Arsenal win.
Oh, I'm going to go. If they get a striker, Arsenal to win it.
No ifs, Al.
Oh, as we are then second.
All right.
If first.
I'm going to go Arsenal second.
Okay.
Ooh, you've backtracked, haven't you? What's going on?
I haven't backtracked.
Well, you picked them to win the league last year, if my calculations
and
are
they
correct.
didn't, and they let me down, So I was just waiting to see what you two go. So you've both gone to Arsenal, so somebody's got to do something different. Right, Aston Villa. Unai Emery still in charge. Brilliant season, of course, didn't they? Qualify for the Champions League. It'll be interesting to see that takes its toll in terms of the squad depth. But they've brought a lot of players in, spent a serious amount of money. Cameron Archer's come in from Sheffield United. Ross Barkley, undisclosed fee. They've got Lewis Dobbin. It was kind of one of those little circular things that went on. Ian Matson, I think, is quite interesting, from Chelsea. I think he was at Dortmund, wasn't he, last season. Onana from Everton as well. So lots of money spent. Can they match last season?
No, I don't think so. I think they were brilliant last season. I don't see them doing what they did. Obviously, they've got European football again. And they have made a lot of signings, spent a few quid, although brought in, about 50 million themselves they've brought in. So they'll be challenging for European football again, but I don't see them making top four.
Yeah, I agree. Just outside top four, done excellent up to now. But when they're playing Champions League football, it's going to take it out of them. I'm going to go just miss out on top four.
So Europe.
Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you that one. I think they'll miss Douglas Luiz as well.
I know.
I think he's a really good player, and he's gone to obviously Juventus in the summer, but they'll be a force again.
Because
they
will.
They've, the Ollie Watkins, who'll come back. He's obviously an important part of that England squad and scored that incredible goal, didn't he, that won the game? And I fancy him to have another good season. Mm-hmm. Onward and forward. Thomas Frank, our newfound friend, obviously worked with us at the BBC during the Euros.
What a lovely man.
He is, really lovely man. He's done a brilliant job at Brentford over the last few seasons. Obviously, they've lost David Raya, but he was already gone anyway. So who have they brought in? They've brought in Igor Thiago from Club Brugge for 30 million. That's their main transfer this season.
Isn't he injured for a while, though?
Yes, apparently so. Which is, but they've still got some good players in there, haven't they?
Yeah, they have.
Those. I think they'll be okay. I think a little bit like last season, just above the relegation zone.
Me too. I think the same. I think it's one of those. They've got a big decision to make. Ivan Toney, haven't they? In terms of, do they sell him? Do they gamble? I see them. I see them in a having a bit of a struggle, but I think they'll have enough to stay up. But relegation battle.
Thomas Frank, the genius, fourth. I'm going
fourth in the league.
I'm joking.
Wow. Yes. Fourth from bottom.
Fourth from bottom. I'm going. Yeah. I
mean, Tony's a key part.
If Tony
of it,
stays, they can mid-table even more. If Tony doesn't stay, I just think it'd be too difficult for them, for the consistency, I would say. So, yes, I'm going to go stay up, but lower down the table.
Yeah, I think we're all going the same there. We're all going absolutely the same. And again, there's one of those big ifs surrounding them. On to Brighton. New manager, of course, Fabian Hutzler. Probably said that name wrong. They finished mid-table last season in 11th. Playing Everton in the opening game, and they've spent some money. They've spent a few. They've got Minte from your mob, Newcastle, Alan, 25 million. Osman from 16 million. and who else? Mats Vifa or Vifa. And Malik Yalkoué. So they've spent a few bob, and they usually spend their money wisely, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, they've got a specific way of doing it, and it's worked for them in the past. There's no doubt about that. And the young manager coming in, I think. I mean, Minter never played for Newcastle, of course. He was at Feyenoord, so and they've what is it, about 25 million on him. So. I've got them in and around what they did last year, in and around mid-table. I think it would be a surprise if they were to finish in a European spot, but it wouldn't. It's not beyond them. But yeah, I've got them 10th, 11th, something like that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think a massive miss for them is Grow. I know it's spelled gross, but Grow. It's pronounced Grow, no?
Is it?
Is it?
I don't know.
We've been saying Pascal Gross for about 5 years.
Where have you just pulled that one from?
Harry!
I tell you what, it's a name that grows on you.
Where on earth have you pulled that one from?
I think I heard one of them name things, like when they say the names.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Harry, you got to find that. I think losing him, anyway, whatever his name is massive. He gets so many assists for them, and he gets them playing. I can't believe he's only sold for 10 million. So I'm just going to go mid-table. Massive.
Okay, Micah Richard.
Miguel!
Minte's actually scored 3 goals and got a couple of assists in pre-season, so that could be quite encouraging for them. I'm going mid-table too. Chelsea. I saw a brilliant kind of meme or whatever you call it on social media yesterday. It said Chelsea's new squad, and it was a picture of about 75 kids playing football in the penalty box. Chelsea's new squad in training. Enzo Maresca, of course, who they stole from Leicester, finished 6th last season after a good run towards the end of the season, and then obviously got rid of Pochettino, bizarrely. Opened against Manchester City. I'm not going to read you the list of players signed because it's too long and take the entire 2 minutes that we've got to talk about.
They didn't have a big enough squad anyway, did they?
No, but there's Dewsbury Hall, there's Neto, there's Willian, there's Jorgensen, Anselmino, Renato Vega, Mark Guéhi, Kellyman, Tosin.
Probably all on 8 or 9 year contracts.
Yeah, it's just I just don't know how they can this can keep working. I mean, it's not been working. So, what do you think?
I'm thinking just miss out on Champions League. I think the manager's he's cooking up something in pre-season. There was trying to play out even when there was conceding, and like Alan said, like it's a bit dangerous, like Burnley was doing, but. They was having a little bit more confidence if they can keep Chilwell fit this time. But I just think they've got a better squad than they had last year. So I'm going to say miss out on Champions League, but get Europe.
They were, 6th last year? I don't see them better than that at all. No.
Yeah, 6, around the same.
I don't see them better than that at all. I've got them in 7th, 8th, 9th, something like that.
I'm going the same. I can't see how this kind of way of running a football club can work. We might be proved wrong. Yes, they've brought some good players in, but I think it's going to be really, really difficult for the new manager as well. I mean, obviously he took Leicester up last season. I have to say, though, with the squad that Leicester had, I think it was too strong for the Championship. So I always thought they were going to go up anyway. It will be interesting to see how his style of football works with Chelsea. I'm going to say they'll miss out on European football as well. So there we go. Crystal Palace. Brilliant finish the last season after Oliver Glasner took over from Roy Hodgson. Finished absolutely banging mid-table at 10th. They've bought 1 or 2 players. Riyad from Barcelona, Ismail Sarr, who's been around the Premier League and the Championship. He's come from Marseille. Obviously, they've lost Elise. Michael Elise's gone to Bayern Munich. He'll be a big miss. And you also worry whether they'll lose perhaps 1 or 2 more. Mark Guéhi, for one, could possibly go, I would imagine. So, shall I start with this one? I think I mean, Mateta's just played in the Olympics as well, so I imagine he'll need a break for a while, unless he had the break before that and comes in straight away because he'll be fit. I don't know what's going to happen there, but he has a way of playing. I don't think they'll finish quite as high as last season, I suspect, because one or two players will go. So I'm going to get them struggling a little bit, but avoiding relegation.
Ditto. I think the same. I think last season, where they finished in and around mid-table, wasn't it? I don't see them. I don't see them doing that again. I think there'll be 3 or 4 spots below that. So I'm going to be the same as you guys.
Don't you think the transfer window should be solved before we go into the league? Because
I've always said that.
It took 2.5 weeks could be completely different to what we're saying now. There could be all sorts of transfers going on. So when we're looking back at this, we have to state to the listeners and the viewers that, don't forget, this is 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks before the transfer windows, because we're going to look like right prats here.
Not for the first time.
Well, we do anyway. Wasn't it recently that we did kind of close it a little bit early, but the rest of Europe carried on, and that's a bit of a massive disadvantage to the clubs in the Premier League.
Correct.
So what are you thinking, Mike? Are you sitting on the fence there?
I think they could struggle. Depends what happens with Eze, but they could struggle big time. I'm saying just avoid relegation, Crystal Palace.
Okay. On to Everton. Obviously struggled last season, but Sean Dyche did a miraculous job despite the points deductions that they've got. They open up against Brighton. Quite a bit of transfer activity. Undai's come in for 20 million. Jake O'Brien for 17. One or two other players as well. Anana they've lost. So I think, what do you think? More of the same?
More of the same, I think, for Everton. Yes. Still 1 or 2 question marks, but yeah, I think it'll be another tough season for them. But with Sean in charge, I would think they'll have enough to avoid relegation, but something similar to what happened last season, I think.
I just don't know why Everton just don't sign a striker. Calvert-Lewin is a good player. We've seen that when he's fit, but is he going to be available for the whole season with his record? I've been injured, so I'm not being disrespectful to him, but once your body picks up stuff, it's hard then to keep it going throughout the full season. Just buy a top, not to say top striker, but what they've spent, 50 million in this window? Just go get a striker that can keep you up. I think they've shown losing Onana is not going to be great, but in midfield and defence, it can keep it tight. The amount of clean sheets they had last season, but there's so many times we've watched Everton and they couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. I think that was their problem. So I say avoid relegation, but just tight again.
There are not many strikers around though, Micah. Mm-hmm. That's the problem, and they cost money. Yeah. Most important part of the game.
True.
I'm going to go struggle to avoid relegation, but they won't go down because basically of Sean Dyche. Fulham. They've done well in the last few seasons with Marco Silva in charge, 13th last season. They start tonight, so obviously they've brought in Emil Smith-Rowe. That's the kind of big sign. They've got Ryan Sessegnon back from Tottenham, but they have lost Palhinha, who's a very important player to them. He's gone to Bayern Munich, and Bobby Decova-Reid has gone to Leicester. So I think they'll stay up. But I think it will be tough for them. If they finished where they finished last season, I think that would be a good result for them.
You know, when you're doing names and you've got to read them out, if that come up on the video printer or your auto cue, I can't even say it.
Bobby Decova-Reid.
Say that quick. Bobby Decova. It's a tongue twister, that one, isn't it?
Decova-Reid.
Go on. So have a go, Micah. Go on.
I just call him Bobby Reid because he used to be called
Reedy. Just call him Reedy.
That's what his nickname used to be, Bobby Reid. Yeah. So I used to call him Bobby Reid. Bobby Decova-Reid.
Decordova.
Decordova. Micah, I love it.
Decordova. Decordova. That's it. Decordova. Well.
Okay. Well, we've wasted 20 minutes talking about how we say that. Where do you think they're going to finish?
I think, I'm going top table.
Ooh.
Smith
top
Rowe,
table.
he scored 2 in his last preseason games. He's hungry, he's sharp. And I like the football Fulham play, so I'm going to say top table.
Just below mid-table for me, similar to last year.
Yeah, I'm going to say same thing. Okay, Ipswich, one of the promoted clubs, automatically promoted last season from the Championship in second. A really good up-and-coming manager in Kieran McKenna. Double promotions for them. Bit of transfer activity. Brought in Liam Delap from Manchester City, Hutchinson from Chelsea, Jacob Reeves from Hull, and Muric, of course, from Burnley, was their goalkeeper. So, they've spent a few quid. It's going to be hard. I mean, to come up is difficult anyway, but when you've come up already from League One, that's a hell of an ask, isn't it?
Oh, he's done an amazing job. He's just been brilliant. And they've got what an opening day as well for them as well. Liverpool, wow.
And second game?
City.
Man City. Man City.
It's not fair, that, is it? It's not
It
fair.
would be a miracle, an absolute miracle to if he was to keep them up. Relegation battle, it has to be. It's always tough for the teams, but what Ipswich have done and the job that he's done, if we kept them up, wow. But relegation battle has to be, doesn't it?
I would echo that as well. I think it's very hard to know how good they are. I watched them in the Championship last season. Very good team, try to play good football, but I just don't know if they have enough to stay up. I hope they prove me wrong because the story would be amazing, but I think they will be relegated.
Yeah, I'm going to say the same thing. I think they'll go valiantly, a little bit like Luton did last season, but they play good football. They're good to watch. But it's going to be really hard for them.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for them, and I think they may just be relegated.
Yeah, relegated for me too. It's time for a very special segment of today's show, the debut, where we'll be discussing our debuts in the beautiful game. It's brought to you by Guinness, as the beautiful pint makes its own debut as the official beer and non-alcoholic beer of the Premier League. So then, gents, what were the standout memories from your own league debuts? Micah, you can start because yours was most recent.
Back in the day, Highbury, Big Meeks burst onto the scene. Debut, I come on as a striker. I looked in great shape. The ball come over to me. I chested it down and I volleyed it and I missed the target. But it didn't matter because it was my debut. The fans were cheering my name. And what a day it was. I remember it like it was yesterday.
What about you, Alan? Your debut? You're not going to harp on about the hat-trick because I know you actually came on as a substitute before that.
Well, we'll get on to the hat-trick in a minute, guys. We can't miss that.
Thought we would.
Yes, my debut was Chelsea away, the old Stamford Bridge. When the pitch was, 20, 30 yards away from the dugouts, and I was just itching to get on. I wanted a chance and got on, and what a day. The atmosphere was amazing. And then a week or two after that, I made my full debut against Arsenal at the Old Dell. And I don't know whether I've told you or not, but I managed to score a hat-trick. We beat Arsenal 4-2. You ever heard that before, Micah?
Only 100 times. But how long was it before you scored again? If we're talking about that. Sorry?
Quite a while.
As we know, as fans of Guinness, we're excited to see that it's going to make its own debut in the Premier League. And no one likes Guinness more than you, Al.
Oh, I love a pint of Guinness. I have done for years, especially after a round of golf. No better, guys, no better. Cheers!
Nothing better. They're definitely going to have a better debut than I had. I played, although we did win, it was for Leicester. It was New Year's Day 1979, not 1939, before anyone says it, at Filbert Street. It was a frosty day. The pitch was concrete. I played for the first time in my life on the right wing, and I was absolutely useless and kept slipping over and falling on my backside. I never thought I'd play again. So it wasn't a great start, and things got slightly better after that. That's for sure. So that's it for the rendition of The Debut, brought to you by Guinness, the official beer of the Premier League. 18 plus, please drink responsibly, and please do not forward to anyone under the legal purchase age. For the facts, visit drinkaware.co.uk. Here's the big one. This is what everyone's been waiting for. Well, I have anyway. Leicester City, the mighty Foxes. New manager, of course. Maresca left for Chelsea. We've got Steve Cooper in charge, who was at Forest. Obviously won the championship last season. Tough opening game against Spurs. So they haven't really spent a lot of money. I don't think they can, because we've also got that awful thing hovering over Leicester, that possible point deduction. We don't know. But they have managed to keep hold of Fatawu, finalising a deal there with Sporting Lisbon, which was important because I really like him. I think he's probably 19 by now, but what a talent he is. So, and they've lost Dewsbury Hall, who was brilliant in the championship last season. So it's going to be tough, and it's my team, so I'm going to say relegation battle, but they're going to stay up. I'm certainly not going to predict my own team to get relegated. That would be awful. Now you two, don't be too cruel.
Go on, Micah.
I think because what you said with this thing hanging over them, potentially point deduction, I think they're going to go down. Sorry, guys. I watched them in the championship. They were good, but I think losing Dewsbury Hall is massive for you. So, unfortunately, I'm going to say relegated.
Yeah, what an opener as well, isn't it? Spurs at home. It's always tough, when the clubs that come up. I know that they haven't been down long, but when they come up, it's such a great atmosphere. And for clubs going to that ground on the opening day is a tough one.
Yeah.
Having said that, with what's hanging over them and whatever, yeah, I've got them going down as well.
Yeah. What if they don't get a point deduction?
Still got them going down.
Oh, you bastard. I'm moving on at that. To Liverpool. Obviously, the big change at Liverpool is that the Jurgen Klopp is no longer there. They've got Arne Slot. The Dutchman has come in. Last season they were third. Can he maintain that? Can he go a little bit closer to the title? They start at Ipswich. No transfer activity whatsoever so far, but a rumour has it they're trying to buy Mark Gahey. We shall see.
He's only going to one club, Mark Gahey, I've heard.
Yeah, Newcastle.
Is he?
Yeah, it is a surprise that they haven't. I know Zubimendi they tried to buy as well, didn't he? But apparently that's not happening. So it's going to be a tough ask, isn't it, with to go in there after Klopp. I've got them Champions League place. Don't see them having enough to win the title.
Yeah, I've got them in third.
Yeah.
I think they'll be good, though. I think the football I've watched, or the highlights I've watched Liverpool in pre-season, they look sharp. Jota's been playing. He's been in good form. Diaz has scored a few goals, been looking good as well. I'm going to go, Champions League position third. I'm going to say the same as last season.
I'm going to go one down, fourth. I think it'd been possible for them after Jurgen Klopp. I really do. I think they'll probably just get a Champions League spot. I just don't know how, when someone's so dominant a club so long, that whoever comes in, it's going to be impossible for. I hope I'm wrong. He seems like a great guy, and as you said, they've gone well in pre-season. But yeah, fourth for me. Manchester City. We don't need to say much about them, do we? Apart from the fact that they're very good. There's not that much activity. A little bit over. The main one is that Savinho he had on his shirt.
Yeah.
The other day, even though we called him Savio when he was at Girona all last season. I suppose the only question is can he continue to keep motivating these incredible players and keep keep that remarkable consistency that they've had over the last, won it 5 of 6 seasons.
And do they go out and buy another striker with Alvarez leaving?
That remains to be seen. It's another one of those big ifs, isn't it? But we all know Pep, he managed to win league with it even without a striker, so he can always rely on a false nine. Obviously Foden can play that way comfortably, and as can one or two play.
And you would expect something to happen in terms of the charges, wouldn't you, at some stage this season?
Yeah, but the time, I think that's possible.
Charges.
We shall see.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, there's 115, isn't there, that they've been charged with? I mean, I don't know.
Well, they've pleaded their innocence. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You'd expect something, whether that's positive or negative, or you'd expect it's going to happen at some time this season.
I'm going to say first, if Haaland stays fit. If not, the Arsenal are going to win it.
Okay. Well, apparently the charges, the court case is going to start now next month. That's a kind of breaking story that's just come out. So, I mean, who knows? I think that will take a long time. I think it'll be at least, according to Nick Harris, when I spoke to him for an episode a couple of weeks ago, he said it will, that will take a few weeks, and then the judge will go away and consider it for a few months probably, and then there might be an appeal. So. I wouldn't hold your breath if I were you on that one. I think, as you two have gone for Arsenal, I'm going for Man City.
Well, I didn't outright go for Arsenal. I give you a little bit
hang on a minute.
I'll give you a little bit of information as to what I think. That's why I brought in Arsenal straight away and Man City together. I think if Haaland stays fit, he's been on fire in pre-season, looked sharp. He had a rest at the Euros. If he stays fit, Man City win the league. If he doesn't
looked
stay
sharp
fit,
in pre-season. Did you watch the Community Shield last week?
Well, that was just a bit different, wasn't it? I mean, he couldn't get the ball to him. If people want to put 11 men behind the ball, what's he supposed to do? But I'm saying, he scored a hatful of goals in pre-season. I'm going to say City first if Haaland stays fit.
No ifs. We can't have ifs on this show. You've got to take a gamble. Come on, Arsenal City. It's the same as when who do you support?
Oh,
Arsenal
my
City.
God.
Who's going to win the league?
Again.
Arsenal or City? You're just hedging. You're just back to Mr. Creosote first day of the season.
Come on, get off that fence.
I'm going City to win the league. You're going City second, Al, yeah?
Yeah, I think just second, because I think Arsenal may sign a striker. So I'm going City second.
Okay. Micah?
City first.
Okay, thank you. Manchester United. Well, Eric Ten Hag still in situ there, obviously. Struggled last season, albeit won the FA Cup. And bit of transfer activity. Brought in Lenny Yoro from Lille for nearly 60 million, and Zirkzee from Bologna. Rumour has it that both De Ligt and Matsarawi should sign today, so that news should be out by Friday when you hear this. So, they're spending a few bob, having a go.
I was impressed with them in the Community Shield. I thought they should have won. They had the better chances. They'll definitely improve their position from last year. I mean, what were they, 8th last year? So definite improvement. I've got them just missing out on Champions League football, but putting up a good fight for it.
Ooh. I've got United in 4th. I think they'll get Champions League. I was impressed with them in the Community Shield. I think Adam Mazwari and De Ligt are starting to get some strength in depth. I think they can do it. I think Rashford's going to be hungry. I think it's not great that Højlund's injured for the start of the season again, but I think sometimes it helps them to play with pace on the counter attack with Rashford and Garnacho and Ahmed as well. So I'm going to say 4th for United this season.
Yeah, I think they'll just miss out on Champions League. I just wonder about a club like Man United playing counter-attacking football. I think it's difficult to play that way consistently, particularly against the smaller clubs who you can't play counter-attack that way. So therefore, you can't play a consistent system all season. I think that's what's scuppered them, unless he has a change of system. But that's I'm going to say European football, but not necessarily Champions League. Here you go, Alan. Newcastle.
No European football. I think it was all over how great it was last year. Their squad was tested and they had so many injuries. And they need to get Guehi in. If they do, I think it'll be a real statement signing for them. If they do get that, I see them finishing maybe 4th.
Ooh. Wow.
Great news, keeping not having to sell one of their big hitters for the financial rules or whatever. Particularly Isak, because I mean he's a fantastic player as we saw last season. He'll be challenging again for the Golden Boot, I think, if he can stay injury free. So I've got them. Yeah, I've got them finishing 4th. Come on.
The tune.
Do we need to talk about the Champions League? Because potentially we could have another space, couldn't we? You know, at the end of the season, depending on how...
Well, yeah, but we're doing top 4.
Okay.
We're doing top 4 for this one. But you're right, Micah, it's worth pointing out, but it won't be this season. But again, the European teams are going to have to perform much better than they did last season for that to happen.
Yeah, correct. I'm going to say just miss out Champions League. I think 5th, 6th, challenging for. I'm
going to go with you, Micah. I think Alan's gone with the confidence and a little bit of bias there.
We have to sign McGahey though, or another top player.
Yes, yeah. That would make a massive difference.
Huge.
I think we'd all change. I think, but I'm going to go European football as well. I can't see them. You know, they don't need any bad luck with the injuries that they had last season. Okay. We all think they're going to be for Europe, though. On to Nottingham Forest. Espirito Santo's still in charge there. Just avoided relegation last season, but don't forget they had a points deduction in there as well. Bit of transfer activity, as you always get from Nottingham Forest. Elliot Anderson from your mob, Newcastle, £35 million. Milenkovic from Fiorentina and Jota Silva from Victoria Guimarães for £10 million. So it's
tough, this one, isn't it?
Got some good players in there with Hudson-Odoi, you know, and I like him, and Morgan Gibbs-White. They're two really good players who I thought were terrific last season. So, but I think it's going to be a struggle again. I think I think it might be them or Leicester. But anyway, I'm going to go Forest to go down.
Ooh.
Because we don't like Forest and Leicester. I don't dislike any football club, to be perfectly
Don't forget,
honest.
we've got Southampton as well. Are you sure you want to go them down, guys?
Yeah. I'm not going to just pick all 3 promoted clubs. Just going to do it a bit different.
I've got them in a relegation battle, but I think they'll have enough, just something similar to last season.
That's what I have as well. That's where I have them. Agreed on Alan with that one.
Yeah, I just had to get Leicester out of there. And so we move on to Southampton. Won by the playoff last season. It's going to be difficult for them. Russell Martin is the manager there. They've got a couple of players in. Downs from West Ham. Hardwood Bellis from Manchester City, and your friend Brereton Diaz, Micah from Villarreal. It's always hard for the promoted clubs, but probably more so the one that goes via the playoffs. But he's done a great job there, Russell Martin, to get them up in his first season in charge.
For those who play fantasy football as well, Brereton Diaz is a midfielder on the game at 6.5 million as well. So, and he plays up front. Is the point I'm trying to make. So, decent value there for the.
That's a useful point
for the fantasy football.
Where have you got them finishing? More importantly, We've got a really tough opening game.
I've got them down. Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have as my old club. I think same as what the other promoted clubs. I think it was going to be really difficult for them. So I think they'll make a good fight of it, but just to be relegated.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Yes, it's going to be really tough for Southampton. So yes, all 3 of us agree on that one. Tottenham Hotspur.
Yes.
Big Ange Ball, we're looking forward to again. Just missed out on Champions League last season. Who have they brought in? Lucas Bergval Djurgården. Or Djurgården. Or Your Garden, maybe. Archie Gray's coming from Leeds. And the big signing, of course, Dominic Solanke. We all thought they probably needed a 9. 19 goals for Bournemouth in the league last season. 65 million quid. Come on, you Spurs. Although not for the opening game because they're playing Leicester and Leicester need the points.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Solanke's going to go. I think it is a lot of money, but he had a brilliant season. I do think they needed to strengthen in that position. I think it'll be an interesting one back in Europe again. So I've got them just missing out on Champions League. European football, though.
Yeah, 5th, but I think we'll get the extra 5th spot this year. So I think they'll finish 5th, but they'll get Champions League.
Yeah, well, they finished 5th last year as well, but didn't
just
get
missed
Champions
out,
League,
didn't they?
of course. Yeah, they just missed out. I'm going to... I think it's touch and go between 4th place, between Liverpool and Spurs. I think I went Liverpool 4th. Yeah, Spurs 5th. It'll be interesting to see how Ange Ball does again this season, because it's great to watch, isn't it? It's great to watch. So, yeah, I'll agree with you both on that one. So, we're getting there. Just 2 teams to go. West Ham. Now, they have spent a few bob in the summer window. A very impressive window, I think. Julen Lopetegui has come in. Last season, of course, they finished 9th, top half again under David Moyes. And... they brought in Guilherme from Palmeiras for 25 million. Max Kilman from Wolves, who I like, 40 million quid. Somerville from Leeds. Fulkrug, which will be really interesting because obviously he was the super sub, wasn't he, for Germany in the Euros. He was at Dortmund last season. They've bought he's a proper old school number 9, 27.5 million quid. So I quite like the look of what they've spent. I can see them... I think I'd see them challenging for Europe, but just missing out. So mid-table, there you go.
Agreed.
I've got them just better than... Yeah, I mean, what were they? You say 9th last season. I've got them maybe a little bit better than that. Yeah, maybe 8th, something like that. Yeah, 8th or 9th, something similar.
Yeah, agreed. 8th and 9th.
Is that all you're going to offer?
Well, you said everything I was going to say, Gaz. I mean, you're a pundit now, aren't you? Yeah.
And last but not least, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Gary O'Neill in charge, did brilliantly last season. Finished 14th, but they were higher than that for most of the season, just fell off towards the end. They've brought in Tommy Daw from Manchester City, Rodrigo Gomes from Braga, and Pedro Lima from Sport Recife. They've lost, though, Kilman and Neto, big players. I think it's going to be tough for Wolves this season.
Very tough. Yeah. Kilman and Neto gone.
Yeah,
they've still got
players.
Sarabia, though. Sarabia is a good player. I think similar to where they finished last season. Where were they?
14th.
14th? Yeah, I'd say about 14th again, really.
I think they'll be in a relegation battle, Wolves, but I think they'll just have enough to stay up. But I think they're going to have a tough season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard for them this season. I think that it will be close for them. But I tipped them to go down last year, and they did brilliantly. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. So I think they'll just stay up. I'm not sure if we've actually got to 3 clubs.
Well, I have. I've done the job properly.
I've done 3 as well.
I think I have. I just can't remember which ones I said. But when you get to my age, that's kind of what happens. But there we go. Oh, well done, chaps. Those were our Premier League predictions. Like last year, we look back at these around the halfway break to see how badly we're doing. We'll be back on Monday reflecting on all the action of the opening weekend. It's up and running. The Premier League starts again. But before that, I will, of course, be on Match of the Day. You're on, Alan, aren't you?
I am.
And Micah's not. Micah's because you're doing Sunday, aren't you? For Manchester
Super Sunday.
City.
What happened? I thought you were on with us.
Super Sunday for Sky. I mean, I got the dates, and then there was a clash of dates in the opening.
How does that clash with Saturday?
I can't work Saturday, Sunday.
What? 2 days working?
I've been knackered. It's either or. I can't do both days.
What am I listening to here? I can't do Saturday and Sunday.
I can't do Saturday.
Alan, it's tiring talking about football.
I was told you were on with us. Who's on with us, guys?
I don't know. You've got a lot to pick from. You got JJ, Danny Murphy.
Hang on a minute. Let's just go back. Can we just go revisit? I can't work Saturdays and Sundays. Did you just say that?
That's exactly what I said.
That's what he said.
Sitting in a room with you two idiots for 12 hours doing
Give
matches.
your fucking head a wobble, will you? You can't work Saturdays and Sundays.
Oh, no wonder his career petered out. I think on that note, we'll speak to you then on Sunday after the game, Micah.
Yes, we will.
Yes, indeed. Okay, that's it. That is it for this episode of The Rest is Football. Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.